Hyenas usually laugh when anxious or stressed.
They're just like me for real, for real.
Social status to further avoid.
Oh my god, can you show that on YouTube?
Hello, YouTube! Today we're gonna be watching another Casual Geographic video. It's called How You Believe the Oldest Lie in Nature. And judging by the thumbnail, I think it's gonna be about hyenas. So grab your popcorn, grab your tea, we're gonna learn today.
This is not a dog, and that is not a laugh. If you're confused, you've fallen for the great hyena trap.
Cute! Look at that smile! Look at that smile! I thought it was common knowledge that, like, hyenas are more related to cats than canines.
Cursed by its own anatomy and victim of the you've fallen for the great hyena trap. Cursed by its own anatomy and victim of the typecast. Hyenas have always been the Joker to the Batman of big cats. But how did hyenas happen? How did they evolve to that? How did the Serengeti get an uncanny, killer false laugh track?
What a cute pupper! You just know hyenas have a fake peepee? I don't think it's a fake peepee. It's just a really long cloaca, right? It's to assert dominance.
Is everything you got wrong about them? Yes, including that.
Yeah, this is what we were literally talking about. It's not a pee-pee, but it's like, I think it's called a cloaca. But they have to give birth to that. Think about that. They have to push a baby out of the most narrow body part. Oh my god.
The ultimate predator profile for which
their
no
ears are
one
so
asked.
big.
Hyenas aren't dogs. If you take one thing from this video, please let it be that.
If not dog, why dog shape?
But they aren't cats either. That's another thing people say. And if you give me 60 seconds, I'll make sure you never make that mistake again. Okay, so here you can see hyenas and dogs are on the complete opposite sides of order Carnivora. They're not even close to being related.
I'm sorry, a what? Carnivora? Filiformia? This sounds like ravioli, give me the formuloli. That's what it sounds like. Am I going insane?
Double dipping on the dog idea is just convergent evolution. Give enough animals the same test and eventually you'll get close to the same answers. Best example, New World and Old World vultures are nowhere near related.
What? I've never seen a New World vulture in my life. I didn't know there was birds that look like that. That's insane.
It's just that the concept of a flying garbage disposal was so nice, nature did them twice. So yeah, hyenas are on the cat side of Carnivora, and suborder named Filiformia literally classifies them as cat-like predators. But saying hyenas are in the cat family is like saying walruses are in the dog family.
Not the same. It's not the same. It's not the same, puppy.
Hyenas aren't in the cat family, they are their own family, and Hyenaday's closest relative is the mongoose mafia. The same way the dog half of Carnivora has Napoleon complex crash outs in the raged weasels of mustelids, the cat half has mongooses like meerkats. And hyenas are essentially oppressive marathon running steroid meerkats. Take that meerkat fact, put it in your pocket, and hold on to it. We will get back to that. But yeah, hyenas are not dogs.
Wait, why did I think hyenas were half that size? Wait, they're ginormous.
Not to mention, they're more meerkat than real cat. And if you were today years old when you realized hyenas are nothing canine, well, that's just part of the personal bias you didn't know you had. Not only am I gonna correct all the ways your childhood lied about hyenas, I'm gonna make you like hyenas by the end of this video, and if you don't, feel free to unsubscribe.
Wait, but I already like hyenas. Does that mean I don't need to watch the video?
But first, let's talk about how hyenas got here. Because that lore is just as important. Hyenas started as these small, non-imposing imitation civets that would have also climbed. They would have been like the cat version of raccoons. Eventually, nature would revoke their tree climbing privileges, but in return, make them bigger and tankier. Then they went through an evolutionary divorce where the hyenas diverged between the even more dog-like hyenas and the famous bone-crushing hyenas. The dog hyenas didn't fare too well. They got their evolutionary chain snatched by actual canines. The only dog-like hyena left.
Why are they the cutest? Why are all of these hyena B-rolls the cutest? Sorry, I don't know why there was so much saliva in my mouth. The cutest hyenas I've ever seen in my life. Because when I think hyenas, I still think of the two hyenas that are in the Lion King. I don't think about these guys. These guys are freaking adorable. I want 10 of them.
The only dog-like hyena left is the aardwolf. The bone crushers fared a lot better because their bite gave them access to food no one else had, as they were the only mammals that could chew through solid bone. Whether it was a zebra's lower jaw or a rhinoceros's kneecap, these scavengers on steroids could find calories in anything, even other animals' teeth. The bone crushers would diverge into the striped and brown hyena. But millions of years before, a different version already diverged. One that was so strong they realized, I don't have to wait for death, I can just deliver it. That was the spotted hyena, a scavenger build that got strong enough to murk its own prey. Basically, imagine a Tasmanian devil, but again on steroids. Same bone-crushing bite, just now inflicting it on the living. The evolutionary endgame is hyenas have arguably the
This guy, whoever's filming this, way too comfortable with sticking his hand into that bone. After how he described those teeth as bone-crushing teeth, he's a little too comfortable.
The evolutionary endgame is hyenas have arguably the strongest pound-for-pound bite force of any carnivoran. They even evolved a sagittal crest, which strengthens their bite, while also stopping the hyena from biting hard enough to break their skulls. It's the same head attachment gorillas have, and if you look at the top of his head, you'll see why gorillas bite hard enough to put daylight through you. Hyena jaws are so unfair that hyena poop often ends up being ashy, even chalky white, due to all the straight up bone they eat. An advantage for sure,
so
but
crazy.
also probably how you fell for the hyena trap, so yeah, time to explain that title. But first, we're gonna play a game called Good Guy, Bad Guy. I promise there's no catch, I'm just proving a point. If you were writing a story and the good guy is water, what would the bad guy be? Fire. Okay.
Oh.
Next, if your good guy is a small, smart mouse, then the bad guy would be...
A cat! Oh, a dumb cat? Oh my gosh, I wouldn't say that. I would just say a cat.
Yeah, a big, dumb cat. Last one. If your main character is a royal, brave, apex predator cat, then you expect the bad guy to be a lowly, cowardly, scavenging dog, or as Simba put it, slobbering, mangy, stupid oh my stars, hard P in a Disney? Every story needs a hero, and every hero needs a foil. And with one of the biggest animated movies ever headlining a Lion King, you'd expect the bad guys to be everything he isn't. And so hyenas got typecast as the opposite. They're not even dogs, but what about all this other stuff? Well, that's the trap. Because every movie, show, and documentary had lions as the good guy, hyenas were the narrative negative by default.
Actually, I don't think the lions are a good guy. Now that I'm an adult, I think media was trying to tell us that lions are good guys. But like, the not so fun fact is that like, the lioness is the one that goes out and hunt, and the male lions do nothing but like bum around all day. And I don't think that should be a thing we celebrate as a good guy.
Basically, they only existed as the opposite of lions.
Cute.
That's probably why at some point in your life, possibly 3 minutes ago, you thought they were dogs. Because it only makes sense that the biggest enemy of a cat would be the furthest thing from one. That's not the
The face of this lion is so funny. It's probably not funny for them, but it's funny for us because we're in the safety of our own homes.
That's not the only way hyenas got done dirty either. The most infamous sound associated with hyenas is a misunderstanding. The hyena laugh is one of the most bowel evacuating sounds on the savannah, and it's a nervous tick. Hyenas usually laugh when anxious or stressed, especially in social situations. Like you'll usually
Wait, I do that. I also laugh when I'm anxious or stressed. They're just like me for real, for real.
especially in social situations.
Just like me, for real. Especially in social situation. Me too.
Like you'll usually hear it when a subordinate is being pressed by a higher rank, and the laugh even communicates the age and social status to further avoid.
Oh my god, can you show that on YouTube?
Sorry, I just noticed how freaking jangly that thing is.
But you especially hear it when hyenas are at a kill, especially around lions. And it was this image, these cackling canine marauders stealing from these noble, self-respecting lions, when really it's usually reversed. It's actually the burly, kill-jacking lion pirating the smaller hyena, who can only stress giggle about it. A study in the 1970s between the two apexes of the Serengeti found that when hyenas and lions appeared at the same carcass, 53% of the time, it was the hyenas that had done the work of hunting. In a series of 13 studies across 10 locations in Africa,
What? So even the lioness is lazy? Guys, we need to get rid of lions.
hyenas lost about more than half of their kills to lions, compared to the about a third lions lost to hyenas. But before you pity the hyena, the same study also found that if you were to add up the sheer biomass they steal and get stolen from each
I also really like every single picture of a lion with a pack of hyena. The lion is making the same face. She looks so scared. Someone help her.
hyenas don't take a big loss from lions. They actually end up getting similar amounts from each other. And that's
Oh,
because
so
with
it
a
worked
garbage
out.
disposal for a mouth and trash compactor for a stomach, spotted hyenas could close the gap by scavenging off the bits the big cats left behind. With the most devastating bite of its carnivore in competition, only hyenas can turn a buffalo to a bloodstain and eat everything in between. The problem is, people saw hyenas and lions fighting for food that the hyenas were the ones to bring down, and then hyenas eating straight bone, and came to the conclusion that hyenas are just career thieving scavengers. Add the creepy cope chuckle and you had the perfect antagonistic plot device to a lion.
They're a misunderstood villain. They're not even villains. They're just misunderstood. They just get blamed for it.
That's no hate to lions, by the way. Honor is the name of a dead cat. If you're a 500-pound weapon and someone a quarter your size eats a steak in front of you, you act accordingly. Hyenas and lions have the most iconic rivalry in the animal kingdom. Let me know. Like the video if you want a video on that. That lore has layers. Part of it is a lion named He Who Greets Fire, a lion who murked so many hyenas, he was basically Lion King Vaughn. Ultimately, this rivalry is the best kind. Balanced, and what one side takes eventually evens itself out.
I didn't know that lions can climb up on trees and like rest there. I mean, I should have known because they're literally big cats. But I don't know. I just didn't put it together in my head.
Simba still had no business fixing his mouth to use that word, especially when talking about the most dominant predator in Africa. Lions are the top predator in that if all the ops of the savannah spawned at the same carcass, a prime male lion would eat first. The spotted hyena is number one in the sense that in parts of the savannah, hyenas are responsible for half of all animals killed. By population, they're the most successful
that's
predator in Africa,
crazy.
and up to 70% of a hyena's diet is something
That's Pumbaa! That's IRL
something they took off the census themselves. In some places, that number can rise to as high as 95%. Completely going against the scavenger label. They also have a hunting success rate that would embarrass your favorite predator, and in terms of pack hunting, they dwarf the success of wolves. The only pack more efficient than hyenas are African wild dogs, and hyenas basically do what they do on steroids. The difference between the two apexes of Africa is lions run, hyenas chase. Spotted hyenas can tail prey at nearly 40 miles per hour and keep that pace for the length of a 5K. But there are records of hyenas chasing prey into exhaustion.
They're such awkward little runners. They're so cute.
There are records of hyenas chasing prey into exhaustion for nearly 15 miles.
Isn't that
Basically,
what
in an
humans
area
do?
code with lions, leopards, and wild dogs, you're more likely to get hunted down by a glorified mongoose. Which is why the hyena's laugh isn't the scariest sound they make. If you hear a hyena whoop at night, you might not see the sun. The whoop can have a lot of uses, and the main one is to call for backup, and these whoops can be transmitted miles away. If you're a buffalo cornered by 4 hyenas and hear whooping, it can genuinely go from 4 to 40.
That's so crazy. They literally call for backup.
Hyenas are marathon running gang mongooses, and I do mean gang. A normal wolf pack is just a mated pair with several generations of their kids. In comparison, hyena clans are matrilineal cliques built off brute force, alliances, and nepotism. To put it in perspective, a study was done on the 1,000 mammals most likely to kill their own.
I'm so sorry. The little meerkat picture up here, I'm not processing anything that's coming out of this man's mouth. Look at this little guy. He's just like me, for real, for real.
A study was done on the 1,000 mammals most likely to kill their own kind, and the runaway winner were meerkats.
Is meerkats are not humans? Are we not considered mammals? Well, I guess we wouldn't like wipe out our own species, so I guess that's where the line is. Maybe I'm just being cynical. Let me shut my mouth and I'll let the expert talk.
And remember what I said, take it out your
Alert.
pocket. Hyenas are giant pack hunting meerkats, and their society can be just as oppressive.
Society.
Hyena clans are famously female dominated, and as a male, it only gets worse when you get older. Males born to an alpha female can enjoy the fruits of nepotism, but as a male, once you're forced to join a new clan, you start at the very bottom. And by bottom, I mean a female cub born 3 days ago instantly ranks over you and gets a place at the carcass before you do. And as a post-dispersal male, the only chance you have of moving up the ranks is if a male above you either dies or disappears. The hyena's female first hierarchy is the second most famous thing about them. It's why Shenzi was the leader, but the most famous thing? Yeah, we've gotten to that part. Look, we already know what's coming, but this is strictly for educational purposes.
Yes, guys, listen to him. We're going to be mature. We're not gonna be like, hee hee, look at that long ding-along. I like to ding-dong on that. Actually, let me shut my mouth. Also, no one floppy wave, okay? I know the floppy waves are coming. Do not do it.
We're gonna be mature about this. That being said, viewer discretion is advised, and if you're watching with kids, it might just be their bedtime. Female hyenas have a pseudopenis, one that they have to give birth through, and yes, it is as graphically awful as you think it is. The process involves the pseudo violently splitting open.
It splits open. I thought they just had to push it through that narrow tube. I don't know which is worse. 07 hyena mothers.
And 20% of first-time mothers die. Worse, 60% of firstborns suffocate to death before technically starting life.
What?
How did hyenas get here? We used to think female hyenas had more testosterone in their blood to explain the aggressiveness, but it turns out females tested at lower levels than males. That's because it's actually what happens in the womb. As cubs inside the womb, unborn hyenas get flushed with androgen sex hormones, specifically androstenedione. This exposure heavily masculinizes the female cub and basically gives them roid rage, with proof that high-ranking mothers go on to have equally aggressive children. Those doses of hormones are why hyenas will attempt to kill their siblings fresh out the womb.
That's crazy. I don't know. Nature is so cool if you think about it, right? Because like hyenas, they just have like, they don't think about, I hope I get a girl that is really aggressive so that she can survive or pack or whatever. They're just like doing things based on instinct, and for it to like get to this point where they're making like really aggressive offsprings, like that's so wild. That's so cool.
This isn't play fighting, they're genuinely trying to take each other's heads off. Especially the girls, because offing your sister just means one less rung to climb on the social ladder. Hyenas are also born with their eyes open and a full functional set of teeth, and the literal on-site sibling rivalry means a quarter of all hyena cubs born never make it out the den. That testosterone flush also masculinizes their genitals.
It's really survival of the fittest at that point.
As the female cub's clitoris morphs into an imitation male organ, one they have to pee, give birth, and mate through. You might ask why evolution would allow this, and that's when you gotta remember, evolution isn't survival of the fittest. It's survival of just being good enough to not die out. There are plenty of examples of evolution heavily handicapping animals. Even the lion's most famous feature can make him less fertile. But as long as it doesn't doom the species, evolution will remain Ray Charles to it. Hyenas don't have a pseudo because it's an advantage, but because it wasn't enough of a disadvantage to completely discontinue them. But that doesn't mean they don't find a way to use them. The very concept of hyenas mating means it is impossible for a male to mount a
Sorry, even though it's blurred, you can very clearly tell what's happening, and it's very funny to me. I don't know, the way that the male, I'm assuming male hyena fell over is really funny. I am being mature. I just think it's funny. You know what? Maybe I'm not being mature. Sorry.
It is impossible for a male to mount a female without the female's consent, giving females a 100%
Pop off, girly pops. Yeah. Wait, when can we have that? When can humans have that?
Hyenas also use the pseudo situation to resolve conflict. And in hyena society, a private standing at attention is actually a sign of submissiveness, so a lower rank can wave the white flag by flashing her pink one. There's also the theory that in a female-dominated society, a false member helps female cubs avoid violence and bullying from older ranks by masking the female cub as male. I still don't think that's worth risking going back into Earth just to give birth, but reminder, if it doesn't kill you, evolution could care less about it, and the Babarusa can continue to get lobotomized by that reality. That reality is the pseudo is actually a symptom of androstenedione, and the reason for that is evolution favored more aggressive hyenas that could defend their cubs and their place at the dinner table. That being said, hyena society doesn't run on violence. There's actually an interesting level of social engineering. Hyenas are way more socially intelligent than they get credit for. For example, hyenas have an alarm call to warn the clan of lions or other hyenas. But if a low-ranking mother sees her cub being pushed around, she'll make a false call just to get the heat off her kid.
That's so smart. That's so cool.
Hyenas also seem to understand social engineering. The best way I've seen it described is hyena A knows how hyena B feels about hyena C, and will use that to her advantage. You don't really see that kind of social manipulation.
Oh my god, there's tea, there's drama in the hyena social hierarchy? Wait, that's fire.
You don't really see that kind of social manipulation with wolves, making hyenas a lot more like mongoose-chimp hybrids. And speaking of chimps, hyenas actually outperform them in cooperative problem-solving puzzles. That doesn't mean they're smarter, but it's possible hyenas are more hardwired to use teamwork. It makes sense when you look at a hyena clan. You can have up to 80 members, each with a clearly defined spot in the hierarchy. Cubs inherit their mother's rank, which is actually how you can end up with a male leading a clan through the power of nepotism. Unless they leave, because again, non-native males start as the dirt under the social ladder. So you think this system's pretty set in stone, and for the most part it is, but as a hyena, you can actually finesse your way pretty high up if you're smart enough because it's actually not how strong or tough you are. As a hyena, it's all about who your friends are. And nobody proved that point better than Waffles. Oh, I love this story. Okay, so Waffles was a female hyena at the very bottom of her clan. As a bottomer, you get the scraps the others leave behind. You're constantly getting pressed by your superiors, but worst of all, as a low rank, any cubs Waffles would have would be at immediate risk of getting murked by a higher rank. Clearly, this is no way to live, but the question you should be asking yourself is WWD, what would Waffles do? You can't really unlock the answer without getting into just what a hyena clan is. So let's get into it. Obviously, you have the alpha female, and all her cubs who inherit her rank. If her cubs have cubs, they'll rank right under them. This whole block would be called a matrilineal group, and a hyena clan is made of multiple matrilineals. Hyena nepotism means the weakest member of the strongest matrilineal group ranks over the strongest member of the second strongest group. And remember, if you're a male, you get to enjoy that nepotism so long as you're born into the right group. Until you have to find a new clan, which they might choose not to do because, again, any new males join at the very bottom of the hierarchy, with the only chance of any upward mobility being after a superior male dies or disperses. But it's normally a highly rigid system with very little chance of promotion. Unless you're Waffles. Because lower ranks can challenge higher ranks for their status, and those challenges aren't what you think they are, because hyenas are good at math. Instead of ripping each other apart and possibly putting both hyenas out of commission, a challenge looks more like a lower rank, posturing and confronting a higher rank with her social network of friends behind her. If the challenged senses that the challenger has managed to rally more support than she can match,
This sounds like human political drama, and that is so freaking wild to think about. This hyena Waffles freaking figured it out, even though they're a wild animal. This is so cool. Wait, hyenas are becoming one of my favorite wild animals.
allowing the challenger to move up. And that's what Waffles did. Biologist Eli Strauss and Kay Holtkamp watched her systematically befriend fellow bottomers, creating alliances and buffing her social cachet. And when it became time for her to confront her superiors, Waffles' social game meant that she was able to win the match without actually having to throw down. Waffles wasn't the strongest, and definitely not the meanest, but by using the power of friendship, she rapidly rose up the rigid hyena ranks until she eventually managed to overthrow the clan's matriarch. In the course of just 1 year, Waffles went from a bottom feeder to the leader of the clan, and most importantly, she had earned her future cubs an infinitely better chance at life.
That's so cool. That's so sick.
But then something interesting happened. Even as the new matriarch, Waffles never forgot her day ones and was exceptionally friendly with the bottom tiers of the clan. Maybe her soft spot for low ranks was from her time as one. She'd do things like share food, help groom, and at one point she even shared a den with a lower rank. And let me remind you that another matriarch would have murked the subordinates' cubs. Yet Waffles was sharing a crib with them. In fact, Waffles' best friend would actually be the second lowest rank in the clan.
Stop! I'm so cute. I'm sorry. This is so cute. I'm getting parasocial. I meant to say I'm so parasocial for Waffles right now. But it's so freaking cute. Ugh.
Making Waffles even more of an anomaly. Waffles went from a peasant with no prospects to a leader with a legacy of syrup. Because obviously with a name like Waffles, your children are gonna have names like Aunt Jemima, Mrs. Buttersworth, Log Cabin, Hungry Jack. Of course, nothing worth having is easy to keep, and after several years as leader, Waffles was slowly dethroned in the Syrup Rebellion. But the hyena that took the reins was Waffles' granddaughter, Soup.
Soup is so funny. Going from Waffles and then Soup, it's so cute. I'm personifying these hyenas, and I really shouldn't be. But like the way that he's telling the story makes me want to.
Ensuring that the Syrup lineage remains at the top of the North clan. It also means Waffles' descendants get a much better start to life than she ever did, and as a hyena and a mother, that's all she ever wanted. And on that note, that's gonna do it for this video, except for one thing, and I'm just gonna apologize right now. Yeah, it's a thirst trap, but it's a thirst trap for turtles. My birthday just passed, you can still wish me a happy one, but in an exercise of free will, I figured I could just get 2 birds with 1 stone. I could post a picture that, like, let's be real, I was gonna post anyway. I average like 2.3 thirst traps a year, but also help turtles in the process. So I set up 3 GoFundMes for 3 turtle organizations I believe in. Sea Turtle Conservancy is the world's oldest sea turtle research group, and its work in Totoguero, Costa Rica, shout out to Costa Rica, is the longest running sea turtle project on Earth. Sea Turtle Recovery is the only long-term rehabilitation facility for sea turtles in my home state of New Jersey. And Turtle Survival Alliance is the gold standard for the conservation of turtles and tortoises. Link will be in the description if you'd like to donate to any of these. I've already given $500 to each, but I will add an additional 5,000 to whichever fundraiser raises the most. This isn't sponsored, by the way. Again, it's just free will, so please excuse the shameless engagement bait and that forehead, and help me save some turtles. But that's gonna do it for this video. Drink water, hug your mother. May you win every hyena debate from now on. Hug your father, and I'ma see y'all in the next one.
Good video! Wait, that one was really good. I think that's my favorite Casual Geographic video. I love hyenas now. I didn't really care for them. I only knew about their fake pee-pee, fun fact. But now I really like